They told us to brace. I didn't. I was busy thinking about how quiet everything suddenly felt. No screaming, no alarms, just the sound of air being pulled away from the world. The last thing I remember thinking was, this doesn't feel like dying. Then the lights went out. When I woke up, the plane was still in the air. That was the first strange thing. No impact, no chaos. The cabin lights flickered, like they were tired. Oxygen masks hung halfway down, swaying gently, as if the plane itself was breathing. I unbuckled my seatbelt. My hands were shaking, but they worked. Dead people don't shake. I stood up and looked around. Every passenger was still in their seat, heads tilted forward, eyes closed, sleeping. That's what I told myself. I called out, "Hello." My voice didn't echo. It felt like the sound died a few inches from my mouth. I walked down the aisle, stepping around dropped phones and spilled drinks. A man across the aisle still held his phone up. Screen cracked, frozen on a half-typed message. I touched his shoulder. He was cold. Not cool. Cold. I reached the cockpit. The door was already open. The pilot sat upright, hands on the controls, eyes open, staring straight through me. Outside the cockpit window, there was no horizon, no sun, no ground, just a flat, unmoving gray. Every screen was black, every instrument dead, except one. A small monitor flickered to life, showing the cabin from above. Like a security camera, I watched myself standing in the doorway. Watching. Text appears slowly. Please remain calm. This flight is not over yet. I whispered. Who's controlling this? No answer. The screen changed. Now it showed the plane from outside. The moment I didn't remember. Metal tearing apart. Seats ripping free. Bodies. I turned away. That's not real. Text appears. Memory is a privilege, not a requirement. That's when I heard footsteps. Soft. Careful. From the back of the plane. Hello. A figure stepped into the aisle. Not fully solid. Like he wasn't finished being there. You woke up fast, he said. Where are we? I asked. He tilted his head. Between. More shapes appeared. Some standing. Some rocking. Some whispering. Without sound. They're holding on to the last thing they understood, the man said. It keeps them here longer. Longer than what? He didn't answer. I sat back in my seat. My fingers sank into the armrest, just slightly, before stopping, like pushing into thick water. I looked down. The seat was crushed inward, bent around the shape of a body. My body, dark stains soaked into the fabric. I'm alive, I said. The words sounded rehearsed. I pressed my hand to my chest. No heartbeat, just pressure. My reflection in the window lagged behind me. When I turned, it stayed seated. Older, tired. Its lips moved. I couldn't hear it, but I understood. You're almost ready. The gray outside the windows began to thin. Below us, the ocean appeared. Dark, endless. Rescue lights flashed. Helicopters. Boats. They're looking for us, I said. The man shook his head. They're looking for permission to stop. I saw the wreckage scattered across the water. Then a body being lifted onto a boat. Covered. Still. I knew that jacket. No, that's not me. That's when most people start bargaining, he said. The cabin began to fade. Passengers turned into reflections. Seats into outlines. The reflection stood and stepped toward me. You don't feel pain, it said. That's the first sign. I survived. You survived the fear, it replied. Not the impact. The ocean rushed up slowly. Not violently. Not fast. Like it had all the time in the world. The reflection tightened its grip on my hand. For the first time since waking up, I felt something. Not pain. Wait. I looked down at myself one last time. No injuries. No blood. No wounds. Perfect. That's when I understood why nothing hurt. The voice returned. Quiet now. Almost kind. You didn't feel the crash. it said, because your body never reached it. What do you mean? The reflection pointed downward, past the water, past the wreckage, past the rescue lights. And I saw it. Not one body, but two. One trapped inside the fuselage, twisted, still, and the other, much higher, still strapped into a seat, still falling, frozen in the exact moment the plane broke apart. My moment. The reflection finally spoke the truth. You woke up before you died. The ocean swallowed the wreckage. The rescue lights faded. And as the world went dark, the last thing I heard was my own voice. Calm, confident, whispering the words I never remembered thinking. This doesn't feel like dying. But then, it did. I thought that was the end. The falling, the darkness, the silence. I thought death would close the door. It didn't. I woke up again. But this time, I wasn't on the plane. I was sitting upright, strapped in, breathing. The cabin lights were on, bright and normal. Passengers around me were talking and laughing. Someone complained about the delay. A flight attendant walked past and smiled. Sorry for the wait, she said. We'll be taking off shortly. My heart slammed into my ribs. No, I whispered. I checked the seatbelt. It was locked. My hands were solid again, warm and alive. I laughed. I actually laughed. I survived. The engines roared to life. The plane began to move. Normal. Too normal. I looked at the man beside me. He smiled and nodded, like strangers do. You okay? He asked. I opened my mouth to answer and froze, because his eyes didn't blink. Not once. The plane lifted off, smooth and perfect. The seatbelt sign dinged off. Relief washed over the cabin. But my stomach twisted. Something was wrong. I looked around. Every passenger was calm. Too calm. No fidgeting. No stretching. No nervous glances. Just stillness disguised as comfort. I looked at the window. My reflection stared back. But it wasn't following me. It was watching me. A voice came over the intercom. Not the pilot. Not the flight attendant. It was familiar. My voice. Welcome aboard, it said calmly. This flight will be very short. The cabin went silent. Every passenger turned their head at the exact same time and looked at me. I stood up. I already died, I said. This is over. No one reacted. The man beside me leaned closer. Not yet, he whispered. You only fell. I backed into the aisle. What is this place? He smiled gently. This is where people go when they wake up too early. The lights dimmed. The windows went black. The plane stopped moving, but we were still in the air, suspended, waiting. The flight attendant appeared again. She held a clipboard. She didn't smile this time. Please remain seated. She said, we're missing something. What? I asked. She looked directly at me. You. My chest tightened. I was already dead. She checked her clipboard. Incorrect. She said, you were interrupted. Interrupted by what? She gestured toward the window. The darkness outside began to clear, and I saw it. Not the ocean, not the wreckage. A hospital room, bright lights, machines, a body on a bed. My body, bruised, broken, barely breathing. A doctor leaned over me. Time of death? Someone asked. Not yet. The doctor replied. He's still with us. The plane shook violently. Passengers began to scream. For the first time, the flight attendant grabbed my arm. You don't belong here anymore. She said, you're not finished. The cabin started to tear apart, but not like before. It was peeling, like paper. Passengers froze mid-scream, faces stretched into masks. The man beside me whispered, you shouldn't have noticed. I felt myself being pulled, backward, away from the plane. No, I don't want to go back. The flight attendant's voice followed me, cold and sharp. Everyone wants to leave. No one wants to return. I slammed into my body. Pain exploded everywhere. Real pain. I screamed and heard it echo in the hospital room. Doctors shouted. Machines beeped faster. Stay with us. Don't let him go. I opened my eyes. White ceiling. Harsh lights. Alive. Weeks later, I recovered. They called it a miracle. They said I was lucky. They said I shouldn't remember anything. But I do. Every night, I dream of the plane, still waiting, still boarding, still missing someone. And sometimes, when I'm almost asleep, I hear my voice again, calm and confident, coming from somewhere far away. Final call, it whispers. Passenger still missing. And I'm terrified because this time, I don't know which side of the door I'm supposed to be on.